I thank any of you who stuck around for this entire ride. We are up to number 1 on our top 10 countdown of famously haunted filming locations. I'm going to send it back out to me in Los Angeles on location quickly, but I will say that I have both experience working on films here and actually having paranormal experiences here. Mountain View Mausoleum is another one on this list where I have experience in both categories, but nothing to the extent that we have at this location. When I was brand new to LA, I was working primarily as a camera operator, maybe sometimes on set as a production assistant or eventually assistant director. But when I was brand new, I really didn't know the legends and lore of LA very much yet. I mean, of course, we've heard about some of the big ones around LA, like, you know, the Winchester House and Alcatraz up in the Bay Area and the Whaley House down in San Diego. But I didn't really know too much about haunted Los Angeles. And as a crew person, I was busy. I didn't have a lot of time to do research. So one day I got a call sheet. I booked a shoot. And as you do, you get your call sheet, you get your call time and the address, and you pull up. And I was just going to set. That's all I knew. Little did I know where I was going was Linda Vista Hospital, which is directly behind me right now. At that time, it didn't look this nice. It was falling apart. It was a place that had been abandoned at that time for maybe 15 years or so. And abandoned is a little bit of an overreach because it was still used. It was used for film shooting a lot. I think that there's no building I've ever been in that was more haunted than this building right here. And also, few places have hosted so much production. Love these exterior stairwell that comes down and outside here. Very much from a different time. As you see by the style, it's an older building, and it was a location used in a lot of period piece films. It was the hospital from Pearl Harbor. Of course, that's set in the 40s. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, Buffy's mom passed away here. Spoiler alert. Lots of music videos are shot here. So this building was first built as a hospital for a rail line that came through here, primarily serving that train company. A major event that happened here occurred when an engineer fell asleep at the controls. He woke up before anything bad happened. However, he thought he was in an entirely different part of his route, and he ended up barreling through at a very high rate of speed, higher than the curve approaching would allow. It led to a derailment, and the train cars tumbling through this small shanty village that really just annihilated entire families living in these small homes. Those victims were brought here, and of course any hospital saw a lot of tragedy. I'll say my first experience here was working on a movie shoot where, you know, we were filming and busy filming. When you're on a shoot, you're very much occupied by what you're doing. You're not ghost hunting. It's not the best environment for trying to pick something up. So of course, you know me, if I'm at a place like this that's spooky, and again, I didn't know that this place was haunted. I just know that it looked cool. I was exploring this building as much as I possibly could in between takes on set, in between setups. When I wasn't needed, I was exploring this building as far as I could and talking to other people that were also working in the building. I did come across people that they said that they heard growling in their ear as they were walking down a certain hallway within the building. I walked into a room that I felt completely unnerved, like somebody was in the room with me and they didn't want me there, that I was being maybe even sized up, that I was being crowded, that it was just an unpleasant feeling, and that was a surgery room. Now, I was trying to not let the visuals affect me too much because, like I said, a lot of shooting happens here. As far as I knew, that wasn't actually a surgery room, it was a set. So I was trying to push that down, but that night I went home, did some research, and found out that yes, indeed, one, this place is wildly haunted, and two, that the room I was in was one of the more actively haunted locations. That is a room that a surgeon is haunting currently because he was killed in the parking lot after work one day after he attempted to save someone's life who was caught in gang gunfire. That person did not survive, and his friends then killed the surgeon as if the surgeon had anything to do with the death. He was trying to help, but obviously these people didn't know how to process their grief, and sadly they killed a doctor. Understandably, the doctor's still angry about it. He's been actually photographed, caught on photos wearing surgical scrubs. Some really striking photos. One thing to note is that this building over here is the psychiatric ward. I have never set foot inside this part of the campus myself at all. And back when I was shooting here, that place was entirely off limits because you couldn't guarantee safety there. That is a place that was violently haunted. People would very frequently talk about being pushed or shoved or scratched. This place now, as I say, it looks really nice. It's been all fixed up. Why? Well, it's a retirement community. And I thought how horrific to put somebody in there if this place is so actively haunted. And the people I talked to said right away, like, don't worry, we're not going to do anything involving the psych building. That might get bulldozed or something, but yeah, we're not going to be putting people in there, retirement age people in there. Unfortunately, that was the first area that got renovated and people started to live here. At first, they had a really tough time keeping residents. I don't know that it was because of hauntings, but I would put one and one together and come up with that idea. I'm very lucky because I was one of the last people to be able to do a paranormal investigation here. I was the second to last group ever in here, thanks to a production company called Awesomeness TV on YouTube and this group called the Janoskians, this group of teenage comedians. They were billed to me as the Australian version of Jackass. Not the most ideal way to conduct a paranormal investigation, but we got legit activity throughout this building. If you want us to go, please make a sound, move an object, make it unmistakable so we definitely know you really want us to go.
Alright, we're out, thank you.
And I'm not going to share all of it here because I did a whole separate video about that back when we shot out here. But yeah, 2 days later, ownership changed hands of the building into what it is today. But one thing I will say, and we did get activity throughout, including things heard, objects maybe that moved, mechanical malfunctions a lot, stuff I've never experienced anywhere else. But in the boiler room, we were conducting spirit box sessions and actually getting some really unique responses. There was the same voice coming over and over again. Felt very distant and felt like they were trying really hard to speak. You could almost hear the anguish and pain in the voices. Meanwhile, in this big room, there's catwalks overhead. We heard footsteps up there the entire time. And I was actually trying to tune that out because I thought it was the producers of the show I was working on that were kind of getting in the way of me doing what I do. And then at the end, I asked them, hey, what were you guys doing up there? It was really distracting. And they said they didn't even know we were in that room. They don't even know where we were. They were not part of that room at all. So how ironic that I was there to ghost hunt and the actual paranormal activity that was going on, I didn't think was paranormal and I was trying to tune it out, but there was actually something going on. And again, that's the main building. And right now I'm standing directly in front of what used to be the psych ward building. Certainly the building changed hands a number of years ago and is still doing well. They're still in business, so people must be living comfortably here. You never really know how things will change as the building changes, do the hauntings change as well. I'd love to get any updates. So if anybody knows anybody that's staying here, is it calm? I hope it is, but either way, I would love to know. So yeah, I wanted to take a moment to continue on talking about the filming history here because there is really so much. And it was in that window in between it being a working hospital and now its current state as kind of a care facility or retirement community, something along those lines, because there was that window where it was just this open building and could be utilized over and over again, and Pearl Harbor utilized it a lot. And it is so nice to be able to see it the way it looked in Pearl Harbor, all fixed up, what it would have looked like back in the day when it was an operating hospital. Because in the later years when I was around, the place was falling apart so much, the paint was peeling. It really became a ready-to-use haunted location if you wanted a horror movie shot here. And of course, the ghost hunting shows shot here plenty, and deservedly so. I want to point out one of the earlier uses in film was To Live and Die in Los Angeles. A beautiful sweeping view of the front entrance to the hospital here. And I love anytime you can see out the windows and see that terracotta tile on the roof outside. And I mentioned that I worked here not just for a ghost hunting show, but I worked on an award-winning short film called Elegy for a Revolutionary. This location was not supposed to be a hospital in Los Angeles, but really a police station in South Africa during apartheid. So it needed to look kind of rough. and it was able to meet those needs very easily. And I actually have some shots of myself on location here. We shot behind the hospital, and you see me doing my best dolly grip work here. I'm actually credited as key grip on this one. I don't think there's a lot of different movies or shows where I was listed as a key grip, but this is one of them. Probably the first one, maybe the only one. And of course, you gotta love anytime a horror movie uses a haunted location as one of its locations. And Insidious Chapter 2 featured this location nicely. That nurse's station front desk area is one of the places that to me really stands out anytime you see it in a film, that you know that the woodwork, just that reception area, it's just Linda Vista Hospital. I'll briefly mention a couple of music videos that shot here as well. Duran shot here, and of course, because it's Duran, all the patients and the nurses were hot chicks, and then there's the band. I don't know, not really much worth watching that one for. The Lumineers used it for the song Hey Ho, and this is at a time when the place was definitely falling apart, but you can't see it because they did the right thing, which was dimly lighted. It looks almost pleasant, romantic, because the light is so dim. Something really cool about it though, for one, you can see those hallways. Often they were arched. Something else that's really cool though is they shot in the chapel. You can see the stained glass windows behind them. And that chapel, let me tell you, I don't know what to call it other than unexplained or unexplainable. When I was shooting for that Australian TV show, The Gymnastians, we were up in one of the top floors, and one of my cameras just bugged out so strangely. It kept rolling, but the image was freezing, locking up, something it's never done before or since. And that thing would not work at all until we walked into the chapel. And as soon as we crossed that threshold into the chapel room, it was right as rain. It was completely fine working again. The idea that whatever goes on in the supernatural realm, it can affect equipment. I don't know. Something rang true for me on that day, that I could not get this thing to work right until we walked into the chapel, and then it was fine for the rest of the night. But as soon as we stepped into the chapel, whatever was messing with that camera of mine went away. Is that proof of anything? No, but it's interesting. Finally, I think my favorite music video that's shot here, at least the one that I've seen, is Bleed Like Me from Garbage. You have Shirley Manson, who is dressed like she is auditioning to be in Pearl Harbor. So she's dating back to the 40s or so. But you see these great looks around these different unique rooms of Linda Vista Hospital. And just being able to look out those windows to see other parts of the hospital from inside the hospital. I just always love those views. There are so many great locations around Los Angeles. With the International Screenwriters Association, we are doing a series called Write for LA, which has you as the writer think about where you could shoot something even before you are getting to the point of actually needing to schedule and reserve those places. Maybe you can find inspiration in the locations. Los Angeles is full of places like that. And if you want to talk about haunted filming locations, obviously you don't need to limit yourself to just Los Angeles. We can even stay local in California. The Queen Mary, oh my gosh, so much film history, so much haunted history. I love the Queen Mary. There's so much more. Whatever you want to talk about, I want to hear about it from you. If you're a storyteller, check out the International Screenwriters Association and things like the Fast Track Fellowship, Table Read My Screenplay. They run so many great contests, but they also offer just so many free resources for everybody to be able to use to help you tell your own stories. And I love celebrating storytellers just personally, and also through a podcast that Max, Tim, and I do called the Fantastic Story Society. Check that out. Check out my website, whatsyourghoststory.com. Have a great Halloween. Again, thank you for coming along on this journey of my top 10 favorite famously haunted filming locations.